Kevin Callahan's driveway. New Mexico, here I come.
Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
I'm Chad McCanna. You said you sort of had a Yiddish affectation in that. Hello.
Yeah, there's no way I can follow up on that without getting myself into trouble. So
Let's just move on. I'm so sorry I even brought up the Jewish people.
it was recently Yom Kippur, was it not?
Is that the Holiday of Atonement?
It's the thing that happens in September. It's on the calendar.
You have no awareness of the beautiful Jewish faith, do you?
To be fair, I barely have awareness of anything these days except the Donkey Kong universe, so is my life.
No, geez. Well, it would be depressing if this was any other show.
That's true. No, it's a positive thing here.
Right.
I love my bubble.
We get my very insular existence. It's wonderful. No, we actually, this is Rare's Conker theme week, so we wanted
Arbitrarily, it's just time for some Conker love. Why not?
Wait, yeah, I guess it is kind of arbitrary. I mean, it's nice that they're doing it. They did a banjo theme week previously when I was on vacation, and and I came back to like this massive deluge of new information. It was great to actually be have a working internet connection during this one, but that's what we're going to center this week's episode on, because there has been a shitload of new information that's been dropped about the Conker series as a whole. Well, not really as a whole.
Well, no. Well, actually, what is there really to talk about as a whole? There's like a handful of games. Quick programming note. Last week I mentioned we would probably be doing my Skylanders Superchargers first impressions this week. However, since the Conker world kind of blew up this week, we decided it would probably behoove us more to cover that and get to Skylanders in a subsequent week. So apologies.
Thanks a lot, Rare.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Team Dakota and Microsoft initially, because I think the big story we'll get to at the end.
How is the big story not the fact that employees at Rare said the phrase "evil acorn"? How is that not like our headline? I'm making it our headline. Top story tonight: Evil Acorn has been acknowledged.
Okay, and the world of Conker has come to an end again, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, but Evil Acorn, Hyle.
Yeah, that is true. So anyway, look forward to that episode. I'm not even going to start promising when these episodes are going to happen, because if I say next week, then Rare is going to announce Grab by the Ghoulies 2 next week, and all bets will be off. So actually, maybe I should start doing this, because then we'll get awesome news. But
yeah, the Skylanders episode will just be that sort of perpetual in the distance goal that we'll attain to but never actually achieve.
Yeah, much like the Kevin Callahan episode the past month or so, where we kept putting it off.
One of these weeks.
Yeah. Anyway, I wonder how that guy's doing, Kevin Callahan. Haven't heard from him in a while.
He's probably doing very well with his wife and children in Minnesota.
Yeah,
he is in the games industry after all.
That's true. Yeah, I want to hear more about Kevin Callahan. I think he should enter the presidential race on a platform of Diddy Kong Racing Wii U.
It doesn't explain how that translates to national policy. It's just Diddy Kong Racing Wii U. Yeah, take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's he'll have a presidential address once a year about the status, and then he'll
this
go
entirely fictional title.
Says you. Well, we do know that Diddy Kong Racing will not be saving the day this November in the absence of Star Fox Zero. Instead, Nintendo's big November release will be Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
Oh, did that get a release date?
November 20th. So, happy birthday
really?
to me.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
2 days early.
Why am I being so unnecessarily snarky about this? I think it's because the 3DS iterations of Mario Golf and Tennis were so underwhelming that I really just don't care. Where maybe 5 years ago, I would be like, "Oh yeah, new Camelot game, Mario Tennis, fat, and
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Because Camelot was our go-to for these titles, at least the handheld versions.
The thing is, well, you see, you like the RPG versions a lot more, but honestly, Toadstool Tour, Power Tennis, those are some of the best cameo games ever. Like, they're fantastic. And
I will agree with Toadstool Tour. I didn't care for Power Tennis all that much, but just in general, I don't care for the tennis games.
You're not.
I'll step my previous criticism back a little bit, but they're just not my cup of tea.
Yeah, you're not a Billie Jean King. You're more of a
Lee Carvalho.
Lee Carvalho. He is a golfer.
He has a putting challenge. I only know of him because of The Simpsons.
That's right. I would have name dropped Lee Trevino because that's a similar name, and it's just as funny.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a real golfer.
Oh, okay.
I had his.
You need to specify that.
I thought you were in a no. I had his golfing game for the NES. It was Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf.
Was it really called Fighting Golf?
Yeah. It was.
Wow. How did that
weird.
manifest itself in game?
Basically, just beat each other with clubs.
Rated E for everyone. No, I'm sorry. Rated KA.
No. NES era, there were no ESRB ratings.
Oh yeah, ESRB. Oh, I found this out recently. Did you know Donkey Kong Country was not initially rated by the ESRB?
That can't be true because I got a launch copy and it was KA.
Oh no, it's true. It's true. I've found visual evidence of this on the internet. So apparently the ESRB was established in like September of '94, but it was a Sega initiative, and Nintendo didn't fully adopt it until slightly after DKC's release. And so like on the very first printing, no ESRB, but just after that, it might have even been. There were some copies that went to store for launch that had it and some that didn't, but I have seen box art of DKC that does not have the ESRB logo.
Yeah, that would okay. Well, if that's true, it would have to have been what you just said, where there was some batches that had it and some batches that did not. But I think there were batches out there in the wild day one. So
I just think it's amusing that if that were the case. And that ESRB rule that we talked about a few episodes ago was like a hard, fast rule. The entire Donkey Kong universe, as we define it, is non-DKU.
Yeah, that would delight, I'm sure, a few select people on our forums.
Actually, this is a good segue into due diligence. What forums are you speaking of, Hyle?
Well, Chad, there's a little place I like to call the DK Vine Forum.
That's a fairly good name for it.
Thank you. I thought long and hard on that name, and but it's a nice little watering hole where I like to kick back and share some bon mots with some fellow intellectuals.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about current events. We talk about what it's like to live the upper class, high flying lifestyle. It's fun for the whole family if they're wealthy like me. So if you are part of the elite, then please come to dkvine.com/forum, and you can discuss such raging topics as, wouldn't it be nice if K. Rool was in Smash Brothers? I hope people voted for him in the ballot. And wow, Rare sure did release some Conker videos this week.
There has never been a better time to thumb your nose at the proletariat.
You just... Oh, man.
What?
I was going to... Because you tried to get that in the Lobo Destroyer, right?
What, proletariat?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about... I'm always trying to sneak in jokes that are more clever than funny because that's just my sensibility. Let's not get too much into Lobo writing because, spoilers, sweetie.
Oh, God. I visibly cringe whenever I hear... like River's song quoted to me. Anyway,
yeah, I think that's the intended reaction because there's no other way to explain that character.
I don't know.
Well, maybe extreme incompetence. Maybe that's a way to explain.
I think Stephen Moffat is just more in love with his own ideas. You're always trying to get in jokes that are more clever than funny.
Yeah.
He's basically the same thing, except he's not trying to be funny. So,
Oh yeah, he's just trying to be clever, right?
yeah, he's more clever than substantive or.
What if I rebooted the world again? Yeah, they'll never see that one.
Actually, not to go on a tangent, not to go on a rant here, but actually, the second episode of the new Doctor Who season was quite good. I enjoyed it because they actually slowed down the pace, and it was basically just it was almost like a what do you call those budget episodes of TV shows where they're just like
a bottle episode.
Bottle episode. Yeah, it was almost like a bottle episode where the Doctor and a character were just in a room, like playing off each other. It was
I
nice.
thought you were going to say they were literally stuck inside a bottle. That would be a great I Dream of Jeannie bottle episode.
I was going to say, every episode of I Dream of Jeannie was a bottle episode.
Were you really going to make a fucking I Dream of Jeannie reference?
Oh, come on,
Wow.
Chad. Who do you think I am? Of course I was.
I'm sorry. You were a massive Barbara Eden fan.
Which is why, yeah. Which is why Bewitched was always over budget. So anyway,
yeah. Paul, you got Paul Lind. He needs to get his beak wet. All right.
Oh, I'm sure he got his beak cool.
Hey lads, confirmed bachelor Paul Lind.
Confirmed bachelor, yeah. Center Square on Hollywood Squares.
So we have a hotline. We're going to take a couple calls, not the extreme deluge that we had last week. But if you want to call the conversation, dial 1-281-410-KONG.
You know, this is Conker theme week, according to Rare, arbitrarily. So what you should do is you should sing the jingle as the Great Mighty Pooh.
I can't to the tune of Chucky Pooh's Lament or to the tune of the Conversation jingle.
To the tune of the Conversation jingle.
If you want to call the conversation, dial 1-281-410 and a word.
It wasn't bad.
Nah, I can't do it. I'm just.
You know who does a really good Chucky Pooh?
Who?
Matt Corna.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured. I thought you were going to say Chris Marlowe, but
Did you see?
Good.
Did you see his Great Mighty Pooh sings Rare Replay video?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that was excellent.
It was very good.
Yeah.
You have nothing else to contribute.
I thought I would praise our own Matt Corna. I give him some props.
Matt, thumbs up. We drew the show to a screeching halt just for you.
Well, got to do something for him. He's been on fire lately. The super
He is the
acorn,
only person still working on DK Vine.
the super acorn maker. Oh my God, have we plugged that properly?
No, not enough. Even if we have, we should plug it again. The Super Acorn Maker is a brand new feature on DK Vine that allows you to make your own acorn person, just as you've always wanted.
Yeah,
as your nightmarish scenario telegraphed.
So here's what I think happened. Matt saw Super Mario Maker and he said, "Wouldn't that be great with some acorns?"
And no gameplay.
And no gameplay. Well, I mean, why? You don't need gameplay if you have the acorns. That's enough.
Yeah, you also don't need gameplay if you're making the top-rated levels in Super Mario Maker, apparently, because they're all just auto runs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's something that's been a bit. So I got Super Mario Maker. I've been enjoying it when I can find levels that are actual levels, but they're most of the highest rated ones are Goldberg devices, where if you touch the controller at all, you're going to die.
Oh,
yeah. So it's a new trend. I think people will get sick of it because you watch it once and then you go, wow, that was a great 45 seconds, but then you actually want to play a game. Another strange thing about go ahead.
Real quick question. Why hasn't there ever been a movie starring Whoopi Goldberg and former professional wrestler Bill Goldberg called The Goldberg Device?
I don't know if they're the right cast though. They're a couple of rubes. So another fun thing about Mario Maker is that there are Miiverse comments that pop up as you're playing, and Janelle's been texting me some of her favorite bizarre, discordant, like cognitive dissonance on display as people are playing Super Mario Maker. My favorite one is there was a pop up on a random Super Mario Brothers, like the original style level, that said, anyone watching the Republican debate on CNN? I have a screenshot of this. I may tweet it out after this show. But yeah, that's my favorite one so far. It's amazing the things that people are trying to use Miiverse for. So
yeah, it's Miiverse doesn't work as a social media site, so I don't know why people even bother.
Yeah, it's because there's the infrastructure, like the user experience just isn't there to push information to people. So you message someone saying, "Hey, you want to start a game?" and they'll see it maybe a couple days from then.
For those of you playing along at home, playing the Kongversation drinking game, we just mentioned the Wii U infrastructure, so please take a shot.
Right. So you're about to get blind, stinking drunk because the X-Files trailer came out.
Oh, well, let's get through due diligence, Chad. Although maybe talking about the X-Files is due diligence for us.
Basically, might as well. I'm just gonna put a bullet point here. X-Files discussion right after plugging the Logcast.
Oh, okay. So subscribe to the Kongversation on iTunes. Please rate us on iTunes, but be kind. Mother always said,
we're really just begging you at this point.
Mother always said, if you can't rate something nice, don't rate it at all. Follow DK Vine, the entity itself, on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram. Maybe?
Yeah. Maybe, probably not. Actually, we should probably strike Instagram from the record.
Really?
Although there is some. I mean, I don't see anyone ever picking it up. We asked the staff who wants it. No one took it, and Janelle's busy with school. I don't think much more is going to happen there.
Oh wow. Okay. Well.
You heard it. This is a live on the air retirement ceremony.
Let's just put it in carbonite for now. We'll
sure.
We can revive it. I don't like killing something off. I'm a bit of a hoarder.
Yeah.
Plus it sets a bad precedent if DK Vine is going to try to continue expanding outwards if we're visibly shrinking.
Yeah. It is getting cold out.
Anyway, yeah. So there's fun stuff to be had. All of our social media avenues, except Instagram, apparently. Tell your friends about the Kongversation. If they like anything that we would discuss on the show, I think they might like the show. By golly, and also DKU Comics. Check that out on DK Vine. Nick took a little bit of a siesta last Sunday, but
siesta.
I don't know.
Okay, that's just a Spanish word,
Yeah, he should be back soon to continue the saga of DKU Comics. So check that out. Also, check out the Logcast, hosted by DK Vine forum members Shogun of Truth and Say.
Yeah, and that one, they by the time you hear this, I think their third weekly episode should be up by now. We're not going to be plugging them every week, of course, but we want to try and give them a little bit of a boost as they're starting this new venture. Rarefriends.net is the address for Rare Friends, which that's their website that hosts the Logcast.
Right,
and they've done a pretty good job so far of keeping it updated with news and the like. So between them, Rare Fandabase, and Rare Gamer, I think the Rare newsosphere is pretty well covered.
Yeah, we're excluding ourselves from that because we never update the main site with news.
We're a comedy site. That's how we get away with completely abandoning journalistic integrity.
Okay, sure. Well, I mean, we have news on our social media, so if you follow that, you'll be plugged right in.
Now the fact that we're never funny, that's on us. But
that's
the news
true.
thing, we never claimed to be a news site.
That's right. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, we'll plug the Logcast. Give them the DK Vine boost. Even though we did the same for Brian Perry and Team Dakota, and look what happened to Conker's big reunion. So.
Oh, stop.
Okay,
now Hyle, I would think we're done with our due diligence, but I see that there's this bullet point that says X-Files discussion.
You son of a bitch. Okay, well, I think people are just kind of resigned that we're gonna talk about this for a couple minutes. Yeah, so the trailer for season 10.
What do you think? Well, the tone of voice that you're affecting is one that you're like distributing Donkey Kong news. No, let's just talk as humans. What do you think of this? Because
this is the way I talk. What do you mean?
It's your presenting voice. I
told you the rest
of
me is dead right now. There is only the Donkey Kong universe fan.
There is no Dana. There is only Hyle / Russell.
Yeah, so you were nervous about...
Yeah, because everything that's been done with the X-Files franchise from 2000 onward. Yeah, that made me a little nervous.
No, they had good episodes in the year 2000. That was the latter half of season 8 was solid.
Okay, the one with the gecko monster where that had Mulder and Doggett teaming up was pretty good.
The Lone Gunman spinoff.
Yeah, but that was... They killed them, though. Anyway.
That happened in season 9, and I will agree with you, season 9 was the drizzling dog shits. Although it did give us the Burt Reynolds avatar that Saf uses on the DK Vine forum.
Yeah, it's strange. Did you know that oh, no, never mind. I was going to say that Burt Reynolds episode was written by Vince Gilligan, but no, it was the Brady Bunch episode that was a Vince Gilligan one.
Yeah, no, Chris Carter is responsible for the Burt Reynolds episode.
And the revival, hence my reticence. But no, God damn it, like, against every instinct, I am sort of optimistic after seeing that trailer because it looked good, it looked modern, they didn't weigh themselves down with a Mulder and Scully relationship thing, and this was key. I think I was like, okay, tonally, this is looking good, and then when Mulder showed up wearing a suit and tie, that was the image that I needed. He's been chasing aliens in sweatpants since, the last 2 seasons of the show.
Oh, to be fair, he hasn't been chasing aliens in a while. He was chasing weird transgender doctors in snowy, like, wastelands.
Oh, you're talking about Billy Connolly?
No.
Who are you talking about?
He befriended a pedophile priest. But he was hunting. Remember, the monster of that movie was this weird transgender doctor. It was very
actually, Hyle. No, I don't remember.
Okay, well, I want to believe that you remembered, so I can make jokes about it.
No, I honestly have sort of blacked out the memory of the X-Files. I want to believe it was just that bad.
It was so the colors were so dim during that whole movie. I think their cameras blacked out. Yeah. So yeah,
it looks okay. It looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah. The 2 minutes we saw looks fine. I mean, it looked like the X-Files. I do have to question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're setting it in modern day. They're trying to NSA drones. Yeah. Okay, so whatever. But
no, I mean, come on. What? I think it's valid. I think they've earned the government's suspicion, and this is an era in which there should be a lot more than there actually is. Unlike the 90s, when the government was just kind of a bumbling, swinging dick, So,
well, okay, but look, season 11 of the X-Files, sure, they still have that. Okay. The whole alien invasion plot, 2012, they're just going to skip right over that and hand wave it away. Well, I guess it didn't happen. I guess,
Do you really want to see them pay that off? Because they're they're not going to do it justice.
Well, I don't care. I want closure on the goddamn first 9 seasons and the first movie. So, yeah.
I'm sure there's some offhanded remark in the X-Files season 10 official canon comic book that explains away what happened. You're not reading between the lines.
I'm pretty sure that's not official canon anymore.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no yeah.
I read the Lone Gunman investigate the Ninja Turtles for nothing.
I don't know, but then the cigarette smoking man is hinted at being alive at the end, and I'm just like, okay, we saw his flesh melt off his bones.
Right? Yeah, Please. There was literally a tomahawk missile to the face in full view of the camera,
and they did it literally so they could rest assured to the audience that yes, he's really dead this time, or he's never coming back.
Yeah, that's the one thing that makes me sort of groan is the CSM imagery teasing.
Also, I don't mean to go on a rant here, but Continuity error. Mulder entered the old X-Files offices with Skinner, and the pencils are still in the ceiling. We all know Monica Reyes took them out during season 9.
Do you think they're actually retconning Monica Reyes out of existence?
Oh no, Annabeth Gesh is confirmed to be appearing in at least one episode.
Oh yeah, I think you told me that previously.
Yeah.
God damn it. Okay. Well, I hope she walks into the former office of the FBI's most unwanted, looks up at the ceiling, and says, "Hey, what happened to all those? What's with all the pencils? I took those down." Like they that should be her one contribution to the X-Files reboot.
That should be the whole second episode. They solve the mystery of the pencils in the ceiling.
Yeah, Chupacabra did it.
He calls up Scully. Scully, I'm onto something here.
This means something.
She goes to Google, types in, "Why do pencils appear in the ceiling?"
That's something I do remember from I Want to Believe. That Scully investigated the case with Google.
What a fucking shit show that was.
Terrible, terrible film.
My God, and like we've thought of ways you could make it a little bit better. Like, what if Mulder was running the Lone Gunman newspaper? Like, what if he was like what he was doing in his downtime?
Yeah,
that would have been great. That would have been great fan service and made a lot people like.
And you don't even need to know what the Lone Gunmen are. It could just be some weird paranoid newspaper.
Yeah, instead he's this bearded schlub who's sitting in a room covered with newspapers on the wall. Like it.
That was just because David Duchovny's Wrangler didn't show up to work that day.
Oh, okay. Taya Leone or
yeah.
So
she didn't show up to work because of the impending divorce. So on that cheery note,
Stephen Colbert, what do you think about?
Oh God. Oh, we're even going into this? All right.
I don't know.
I have been watching Stephen Colbert's late night show, and
the late show with Stephen Colbert.
The late night, yeah, whatever. The late show, yes.
The late show with Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, lately nightly with Colbert. Whatever the fuck it's called. I realized last week that without even understanding that it was happening, I have been converted into a late night television watcher.
For Colbert.
For Colbert.
Yeah.
I followed him over from Comedy Central so seamlessly that I didn't even realize it had happened.
Here's what happened with me. Okay, so I really liked the first episode. The whole Trump Oreo bit. Like that was just a Colbert Report bit through and through. His weird issues with food and binging, and he even had a Jimmy in there where he talked to his producer.
Yeah. He still does that, have you kept up with it, though? Because...
Oh, yeah, I'm watching every night, trust me.
Okay.
Well, my point is good, don't worry. As the first week went on into the second week, there were some moments that felt awful. Like, they felt like network mandated shit. Like, did you see that segment where all these football players are, like, showing up in the studio? And Colbert was like, "Oh, it's blah, blah, blah from Seattle fuckwads." And
underrated team. I think they'll take it this year.
Yeah. So, and it just felt like, oh, CBS wants him to plug Thursday Night Football, and this is what this is about. But it was just like so devoid of any cleverness. But as time has gone on, they've weeded that crap out, and it feels more and more like a tight ship. It's
which is crazy considering it's only like his third week at this point.
Well, how quickly did he get the Colbert Report up and running? And that, I think, would be an even bigger challenge, considering that they were kind of inventing a whole format for that, or basically just stealing it from Bill O'Reilly. But
I don't know. It's because it's different challenges that are being faced. I mean, on that one, yes, they had to sort of invent a new format, but they also had complete freedom, and there was no risk of alienating an audience that wants you to adhere more closely to an established format. I mean, they really had to consider a lot more when structuring late night or the late show. The late show, right? The late show?
The late show, yeah.
The late show. I one thing that I really like that they've done, though, is they've acknowledged the fact, and I think this was established in even the first episode, that Colbert's strength really is behind the desk. So he comes out, he does a cold open monologue, and then they have the opening theme. And by the time it gets back to the show proper, he's sitting down at the desk.
Yeah.
Like, that's... I'm glad that they're not, fucking around trying to get him to do an 8-minute monologue every night with a bunch of, hacky jokes that... like Conan O'Brien style stuff. Which is unfortunate to say, but he's sort of grown complacent now.
Well, yeah, that was never Conan's strength, and even on late night with Conan O'Brien, they would keep the monologue really short because Conan would acknowledge monologue sucks.
Yeah.
But after the whole Tonight Show debacle, it's like, and this is something that like plagued Letterman and has plagued Conan. They want to be Johnny Carson, and they don't realize. But you're David Letterman and Conan O'Brien. To your audience, you are Johnny Carson already. You're this generation's Johnny Carson. So why would you want to revert to something you're not? And Stephen Colbert isn't doing that, and that's why I am relieved. Like, some things still feel a little weird. Like, it feels wrong for Colbert to have a band. They're fine. They're a good band, whatever.
Yeah,
but,
I like those guys. John Batiste and
just that whole like forced interaction with them. Like, I don't know. It just feels a little bit weird, but for the most part,
it doesn't feel forced to me. Before the show came out, they had a late show podcast that Colbert was doing just to fill the time during the summer. And on one of them, he had the band leader, John Batiste, I can't remember his last name, on the podcast.
That is the last name, Batiste.
Oh, it's Jean Batiste. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he had him as like a quote-unquote guest, but it was just the two of them having a conversation, and they have a very well-established rapport. So, yeah, I think that we'll just need to get to know that guy a little bit more.
Yeah, and as he's gone on, the political humor has gotten stronger and more confident, and I don't think he's as afraid of alienating Middle America anymore.
Speaking of which, the guests have been amazing. He's of course you have to have the requisite celebrities promoting their latest entertainment thing, but he's also having on, much like the Colbert Report, he's having on authors, scientists. He had the young woman who won I think a Nobel Peace Prize and had the documentary They Called Me Malala, something like that.
Yeah, she was shot in the face.
Right. But yeah, he had her on as a guest. This is Jay Leno, Conan O'Brien, David Letterman would never have anyone even approaching this level of like actual contributory human on their shows. But Colbert is already sort of shaking up what a late night guest is, and he's introducing. This is network television.
If Jimmy Fallon could play beer pong with them, I'm sure he'd have on many Nobel Prize winners.
Yeah. Like, you're not going to see Maya Angelou slow jam the news.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Fallon is having a Keenan and Kel Good Burger reunion. So yeah, it is what it is. BuzzFeed Leno is what somebody called him once, and that's basically what Jimmy Fallon is. But
well, hey, there is an audience for that.
Yeah. I show the panders to 90s nostalgia. Why I never.
Yeah. Jeez.
How dare.
Jimmy Fallon should just hang it up.
So tonight on the Kongversation, no,
we'll be discussing a character from the 90s.
I am pleased with Colbert. The show is getting stronger. It was a rougher start than the Colbert Report, but it's really finding its legs. It's basically becoming an hour-long Colbert Report for network television, which is what best case scenario I could have hoped for. So
yeah, I never thought that I would be regularly watching a network late night show again.
I don't know what the ratings are. Hopefully they're enough to please CBS, and the hammer's not going to come down. But yeah.
Well, anyway, we have some calls. Most of them are Conker related, or at least can be spun that way. And we of course want to talk about all the brand new information. Some happy, some sad.
Some unfortunate calamities have befallen the Conker world.
Calamities? Just like a Yosemite Sam cartoon?
I say.
That's the wrong Looney Tune.
I don't know. I remember I'm a Hanna-Barbera kid, so.
Yeah, you don't know the difference between I say and rootinest tootinest.
Yeah.
That's something that you learn from Chuck Jones.
Okay.
Hey, staff, what's going on? This time, I actually have a good question. What is your opinion on video game characters being retired? So, like, movies, they have characters that just retired, never put back, or TV shows, they have characters that are very prominent at the beginning seasons, and then later on they just either drop them, cut them off, or whatever. So my question is, how do you feel about this happening in the video game, in video game franchises? Like, how early on there were many specific characters, and one of them just, during the later years just got either killed off or doesn't appear anymore or whatever. Yeah. Thanks, staff.
Did you say staff or staff? I think this might have been a call for the forum watch.
Oh, that's not a very forum watchy question. It's like
no, it's not.
No, a forum watch question would be like, how big do you think Rock's dick is?
But they no longer talk about the forum. They just talk about the penis assumptions of forum members.
Well, that is the forum.
I guess.
Really, that's why we're all there. It's basically just imagining the other person's genitalia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that thread and completely relevant discussion that's it's the poll, and there are options. So the question is, how long is your penis? And there are options for every quarter of an inch length.
And then the final one is it's spelled clitoris for the ladies.
We actually have female members of the forum.
Yeah, we're not some weirdo I don't know, subreddit. We actually
Yeah, so at any rate, I was thinking that maybe we could discuss 12 Tales or Conker's Pocket Tales.
Well, okay, yeah, retired characters for starters.
Yeah,
in a general sense, I don't like the idea of retiring a character, and that's why I hold out hope that some of the characters we haven't seen in close to 20 years, like Swanky Kong, will one day return from the ether. It's depressing to me to think that a character would ever be retired and that I would never experience that character again. Because we play video games, and this is something I talked about after Iwata passed away. Was one of the great things about video games is that you don't have to deal with concepts like death. These characters can remain part of your lives. On and on and on, and even if they die, they just pop out of a door and say woo, and they give you tips. So
this is your mother speaking. I'm dead now.
Yeah, but don't freak out. Just continue going on into Jungle Japes. Thank you.
Oh, grandmother, actually. Sorry.
Well, grandmother who raised him as a mother.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. So the whole notion of retired characters bums me out. So I hold out hope that we'll see all characters who have been put up on the shelf once more. However, something like Pocket Tales, Conker's Pocket Tales, is probably the scenario that it's least likely we'll ever see anybody from that game, anybody who is exclusive to that game, come back. And something we talked about a couple days ago or this week in the midst of Conker Theme Week was that we don't think anybody at Rare who worked on Pocket Tales is either still there or remembers the game.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. The only person I think that wasn't David Wong still there up through Rivals at least.
I believe so. Yeah, so he could still be there and just not talking about Conker's Pocket Tales. I don't know if he was one of the people who were part of the calling as it was, but if he was or wasn't, apologies either way to David Wong. But of course, Robin Beanland did the soundtrack. I believe.
Well, he did. He's credited with music, but then
Evelyn.
Evelyn Fisher is credited with I think what happened was that Robin wrote the music for 12 Tales, and then Evelyn converted it to Game Boy Bleeps and Bloops.
Okay. So Robin Beanland probably doesn't know what's going on with Pocket Tales too much.
And in fact, there was. Well, should I just play the clip?
Well, are you going to provide context? Like Rare was having a Twitch stream, and they were playing Bad Fur Day with Robin Beanland and Louise O'Connor, and they were talking about it. And
I thought I would. I mean, personally, I would think that people shouting "Evil Acorn" into a microphone is context enough.
Well, let's hear it then. I have no idea what this clip is going to be.
No, basically, as Hyle was saying, Rare had a Twitch stream for their Conker theme week on Thursday, and they had Lou O'Connor and Robin Beanland from the original Bad Fur Day team playing the game with some special guests. Craig Duncan was in there. Adam Park was hosting the event. Who else showed up?
Lee Loveday was lurking in the shadows somewhere.
Yeah, there was definitely a Loveday presence in the Twitch chat, which was pretty cool. Like that was a real time interaction with Lee Loveday. I hope the significance of that is not lost on anyone who was around for the Scribes days, but that was pretty cool. Anyway, they were taking questions from the Twitch chat, and toward the end of it, like everyone was sort of getting loopy. It had been 2 hours. For them, it was getting into the evening after a long work day. And I said, just acknowledge Evil Acorn. I just want to hear someone say the words. And this is what happened.
Now, Evil Acorn, you're aware of this?
No.
Tell us about this.
I don't know, I was hoping you could. I know had some
Well, is it Evil Acorn? I mentioned it's a 12 Tails thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Pocket
Tails. Oh, is it? Sorry.
So
That's
I've
Robin
seen
Beanland.
Chad has asked. So again, this is Chad who runs DK Vine.
Yep.
And we do love Chad and DK
Wonderful-
Vine.
Chad's
Wonderful
They're-
podcast, wonderful forum,
Yep.
really great guys.
And if we don't do this, they're going to be really annoyed with us,
So
right?
they've asked us if we can also
It's Louise
Evil
O'Connor.
Acorn
Is
out
there
loud.
context
Well,
to
I've
that?
seen the GIF on their Twitter, which involves Evil Acorn, so I assume it relates to that. So I'm going to count us down then.
Do we have to shout
How loud
it?
are we going?
Are we
'Cause
shouting
are we going to
it?
blow the mics here?
Can
or
we-
are not too loud. Not too
Okay,
loud.
not too
Right.
loud.
Not too loud.
So we're just going to gently say
So I think the
that.
key there is say, not shout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really. Right.
Say,
so,
yeah.
so on one.
On
Ready?
one or
So-
after
so
one?
3, 2, 1. Evil Acorn.
Not on one then. After one.
After one. You're the musician, Dad.
I know.
What have I done?
1, 2, 3, 4. Evil
Oh, right,
Acorn.
see, I did it wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Do it again. One last practice.
1, 2, 3. Evil Acorn.
Is that good?
Yeah. One more time for
Should we
Elvis.
I think we
reckon.
didn't
Yeah.
give enough passion
Yeah.
for that. Should
Ready?
we shout just to annoy the Johns?
Yeah.
So how fast? Evil Acorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Evil Acorn.
There we go.
Something exploded.
John's eardrums.
Yeah, he's shaking his head.
So, hey, I think by the way, before we start the show and we have to sync up our audio, we go through this whole ritual of 1, 2, tap, and we try and tap our microphones. So it's and we never get it. Like it's a nightmare, especially when there's more than just the two of us. It's really nice to see that actual professionals have trouble syncing up something as well.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the chat who runs DK Vine thing.
Yeah. What possible issue could you take with that? I think, honestly, I have a problem with that, too, because Matt Corna really runs DK Vine these days.
I know, right? Yeah. So yeah, you egged on Rare employees to acknowledge Conker's Pocket Tales.
Yeah,
at
they had no
gunpoint,
idea
so.
what they were saying.
And was that Adam Park who talked about the GIF on Twitter of the evil acorn popping out of the cake, which is
No, that was Adam Park talking about the GIF on Twitter of Evil Acorn popping out of a cake.
Oh, okay. See, well, it's his weird English accent. It skews things ever so slightly. So, anyway, yeah, I think
Graphical interchange format.
Yeah, the creator of which author intent. Word of
I'm sorry,
God.
Hyle, but in acronym events always trump word of God.
You fucker. But until GIF is rated by the ESRB, we can follow our own personal canon.
All right. In my
So
head
anyway-
canon, it's GIF.
Anyway, yeah, I think Adam Park doesn't realize that that's actually from a game they made. He thinks that it's like an animation we created.
Yeah,
of the
like,
evil
no-
acorn popping out of the cake.
Like, no, Adam, that's a cutscene.
Well, and that's what I realized, and this is what ties into this call. It's nobody at Rare remembers Pocket Tales or worked on it, except maybe David Wong. So,
well, and presumably Lee wrote the manual. So I'm assuming in I think in the background when they were like, wait, what's that from 12 Tales? I'm guessing it was Lee that was like motioning, somehow doing like a pantomime to say Conker's Pocket Tales.
Well, yeah.
Sure he's the only one in that room that knew what the fuck it was.
Oh, okay, I take it back. Lee Loveday would also know Pocket Tales, but that's mostly because he either did the manual or our constant harassment over the last 16 years or so.
That's true. We have made like Pocket Tales themed animated shorts and Acorn Makers.
But besides Lee and possibly David Wong, if he's still there, nobody in the hallowed halls of Rare is fucking aware of this game that they made. And it's like not like one they had to dig back up for Rare Replay and reacquaint themselves with. It's kind of just almost like lost to the sands of time. We are the ones keeping the Pocket Tales flame alive, and all of the classic characters like Forest Guardian and Sheriff and Undertaker.
What about, don't forget Histamine.
Histamine, yes, and Swamp Fiend and Soul and Luxo, yeah.
I love that. I have a feeling that the reason for names like Swamp Fiend and Evil Acorn is laziness, but if they were like intentionally terrible, it's honestly a stroke of brilliance.
Well, here's the thing, and this is something I believe we discussed on our Conker's Pocket Tales Spotlight episode back in season 1. I think and maybe we would change our position on it now, but I think at the time we were convinced that Pocket Tales was just a massive piss take, or at least those elements of it were a piss take.
I'm starting to reevaluate that theory.
I mean, it can be read either way. I mean, it's definitely a weird ass game. And so anyway, like the fact that we're the only ones who give a shit about these characters. The only character who's ever kind of elevated above their station from Pocket Tales is Honker the Skunk, in that there's like fan art of him out there. There's like people like the idea of Conker having a doppelganger. It's an easy concept to grasp. It's Mario, Wario, that kind of thing. Oh,
yeah. Link, Dark Link. Yeah.
Yeah. There's basically Dark Conker. I think Honker has kind of been pulled up a little bit from that and gained some notoriety. But
yeah, and it works perfectly because, obviously squirrels look identical to skunks, just with different colors.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Stop trying to shatter the illusion, the fragile illusion that is this game world. So anyway, yeah, I hate the thought that like if there was a Conker sequel that wasn't canceled, that no Pocket Tales characters would like be in it, and we would have to start a campaign ASAP if a Conker game was announced to petition to get a Pocket Tales character in there, because that would have to be like our focus for however many months it would be, because I think we're the only ones who can save these characters from being forgotten about. If something were to happen to DK Vine tomorrow, if we all just suffered heart attacks and died, Pocket Tales would be forgotten about. And
if there was a nuclear bomb that exploded on the mountain in Utah where our server exists,
and all of our forum members live.
Well, hey, they maintain the server,
right? Like they're actually just all hamsters on wheels. Yeah, I want to. I think it's our like some people aspire to great things in life. I just want an Acorn person to get in a video game again. That's all I really care about.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, we thought we had a shot here with Project Spark, but alas.
All right, next year when they have the Rare Creative Jam, let's go on like a social media campaign to get anyone from Rare to just do not even an evil acorn, just an acorn person themed Rare Creative Jam project.
Well, I mentioned my idea to you last night of starting a fan campaign where we mail acorns to Rare.
Yes, this is an idea that is much funnier in theory than in execution.
But no, we both laughed at the thought of like Craig Duncan getting an envelope and he opens it up and he just has to pour out all these acorns. Nothing but acorns. No
with
context.
No note, nothing. Like, why is everyone sending acorns to Rare?
Like, I don't know. Somehow, I don't know. Remember that Dick Van Dyke episode where, like, there's walnuts and like Dick Van Dyke opens up the closet and like walnuts pour out?
Oh yeah, the closet in his entryway. Yeah.
Yeah, I want that to be Rare headquarters. Where like they go in one morning and just acorns pour out and they're like DK Vine.
Yeah, I feel like it would wind up though in reality being like Tobias Funke sending exploding glitter bombs to agents. Is gonna be, never interact with DK Vine. Yeah.
To be fair, that was their MO for most of their existence. It's only been this year that they've humored us. Besides Lee.
True. That's not true.
I know.
That was their MO for everyone. It's not like they were singling out DK Vine. It's just that Rare is historically very secretive.
Yeah, that's Nintendo's MO. I'm sorry. I mixed that up a bit.
Right. But anyway, speaking of Acorn people, there was once going to be a full console game that I don't know if Evil Acorn himself was involved. He might have still been orbiting Earth, but there were Acorn baddies certainly. 12 Conker's Quest and 12 Tales Conquer 64.
Essentially the same game. I mean, it just underwent a name change after a year. But yeah, so on the final day of Conker Theme Week, which is a weird name, Conker Theme Week, like
maybe it's a Britishism.
It must be like maths and when people say clever for smart.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the final day of Conker Theme Week, Rare updated their YouTube channel with a Rare revealed video for Conker's Quest, but 12 Tales Conquer 64, but they do acknowledge the Conker's Quest name in the video, hosted by Louise O'Connor, and yeah, she's very charming. I enjoyed this video quite a bit.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wish we had gone to. Wasn't she at San Diego Comic-Con?
She was at Comic-Con, yes.
Yeah, she wasn't at E3 this year, and I wish we could have got to meet Louise. But
yeah, it was a sausage fest at E3.
Like, God, Adam Park, Pete Hens, Craig Duncan, Robert Nealon, come on.
Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the man candy, but but yeah,
no, I hope she shows up next year at E3, provided we go. If we're not there, then Louise, I don't care. But
if we're not there, Rare can just stay at home. I don't give a shit.
Right? Yeah, but, no one cares. I mean, really, it's all about who we get to meet.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, yeah. I was like, oh wow, like she had a sense of humor. And like she was funny, like she made one joke she made that cracked me up was how they referenced Conker's Pocket Tales, which
they even had footage of it.
I know footage of it still exists somewhere within Rare.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, it looked like newly captured footage too. It was like full pixely, bright. It's definitely not something from a 1999 era VHS tape.
Well, or like they didn't go to a YouTube and type in Conker's Pocket Tales walkthrough part 1.
Well, it's our video anyway.
Right.
Fuck off, PewDiePie.
But this whole thing, all the 12 Tales footage was newly captured too, because it was like the crispest I've ever seen 12 Tales.
Yeah, it's definitely running in an emulator that they could res up a little bit.
Yeah, so she made a joke when showing Pocket Tales how Conker's world was. What did she say? The exact quote was somewhat more sane, or
oh yeah, which is a bit more sane than it would later be, something like that. Which. I'm sorry, but that's not the Conker's Pocket Tales that I know. that game is fucking insane.
Yeah. While his world was still relatively sane.
Relatively sane. No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, I think the relatively is a qualifier because it's still a game full of acorn people and golems in the Aztec section. So let's spit bats at you.
Siegfried spits bats. Oh, also something I think we had to have mentioned it in our Pocket Tales spotlight, but not recently. Siegfried the Golem, he says that Evil Acorn is his best friend.
No. Evil Acorn's basically. Yeah.
He says, yeah.
Basically, Evil Acorn and Siegfried are best pals.
and one of them is permanently affixed to the wall at the end of a temple.
And the thing about Conker's Pocket Tales, and we'll shut up about Conker's Pocket Tales because we're trying to talk about 12 Tales here, but
It's
for me,
Conker theme
they're
week. Anything
they're
goes.
linked. Anything goes. But I the thing about Pocket Tales is, it's everybody thinks, oh, it's just the E-rated game. It's childish. It's not like the Conker. But there's like some weird darkness in that game where like Honker fucking murders the town undertaker. Evil Acorn's always threatening that he's going to kill Barry.
And at the end, his Evil Acorn's plan, this is the depth of his psychosis, is to blow himself up. He's a suicide bomber.
So long as Barry and Conker die in the explosion, he doesn't give a shit. And
it's like you go through the catacombs at the end of the game, you encounter Evil Acorn, he sets off a timer, and then, much like the early parts of a Metroid game, your final objective is to escape the catacombs before the bomb goes off, but he never moves. He's just gonna blow up no matter what happens.
I think we eventually, you think he's still floating in space, but I think that's a little bit too cartoonish for my taste. I like to think he blew himself to Canada or something.
Oh, what? You think there was some orbital decay?
I mean, he was in the upper atmosphere, maybe, but he didn't get all the way into space.
Oh no, he definitely got it. If you look at the screenshot, the curvature of the Earth. I mean, come on, you can run some science on this.
You can see the curvature of the Earth from an airplane, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
All right, well, let's agree to disagree on whether or not Evil Acorn is in Canada.
We need to get Neil deGrasse Tyson on this show as a guest. Just to talk about the science behind Conker's Pocket Tales.
Maybe we could do a Star Talk crossover.
That's right. This Star Company talk.
Because of all the Star products.
Yeah, in Conker's Pocket Tales, the motorboat is actually made by Star, like Sporting Goods or whatever.
False. Motorboat is made by Ted the Boat Builder.
False. He scavenges parts that, like pre-existing motorboat parts. The body itself. You find, and it has the Star logo on it.
Damn, he sussed me.
It's like Anakin Skywalker building C-3PO. He found the parts of a protocol droid. He didn't just build it from scratch.
And it made just as much sense as Anakin Skywalker building C-3PO.
I don't know what you're talking about. That made perfect sense to me. Something that was never mentioned in the original movies. So anyway, where were we? Conker's Pocket Tales? Yeah, it was a weird
12
weird,
Tales,
weird,
Conker 64.
Conker's Pocket Tales, it was surprisingly dark and twisted in areas. Anyway.
I'm sorry, but anywhere, much like Evil Acorn being pulled into the Earth's gravity perpetually because he is in a consistent orbit, I keep getting pulled into Conker's Pocket Tales. Like, I can't ever stop orbiting around that fucking game. It's just, it is so weird, so strange. There's just so much cognitive dissonance going on in that game. It makes no sense from start to finish.
In my opinion, though, Evil Acorn landed in Canada and became a lumberjack, much like Dexter. Spoilers.
Well, I think that, I don't know, that might be slightly murderous if it's oak trees he's chopping down.
He is an evil acorn, Chad.
Oh, he's evil. He's evil. I'm sorry. That's his MO. You're right. It's right there in his name.
All right. 12 Tales.
Enough fun.
Yeah, no. Let's get serious and talk about this game about a cartoon squirrel and chipmunk.
What I thought was interesting, it seemed like this had to have been taken from at least 2 builds, several builds at the very least, the footage that we saw, because, we had traditionally known Barry in 12 Tales and Conker's Pocket Tales as having brown fur, brown hair.
And the little poster or photograph in the bunk in Rusty Bucket Bay.
Right. Very, very creepy obsession with an underage chipmunk. Yeah.
Some seaman was living up to his name.
Mm-hmm. So,
wordplay.
It's a Russell classic joke. So we have fun here on the Kongversation.
we just joke around. We goof off. It's all in good taste.
So if you say it's in good taste, that makes it tasteful. So anyway, there were also. Did you notice this about Barry? That she also has gray hair. Or gray fur, blonde hair, like she would ultimately have in Bad Fur Day. She also has blonde hair, pink fur, and there was a render of her with blonde hair. Oh, no, brown hair, pink fur.
Yeah,
it's like there's all these different variations on her fur color and her hair color. So that seemingly was being adjusted throughout the whole process.
Maybe it was like Tricky in Star Fox Adventures, where if Conker plays ball with her, she'll change colors.
Perhaps. One thing I didn't know that they revealed in this trailer was that every world would give Conker a new hat.
I think I knew that from reading Nintendo Power back in the day. And maybe that was just because Conker was always wearing a different hat depending on the environment.
Yeah, I knew that it was pretty clear he was accessorizing, but I didn't know that was like a hard and fast rule for every world.
Yeah, this was something I think that happened when the game became 12 Tales, and it was more focused on like each one is like a storybook aspect of it, like a different like archetype that's from like storybooks or cartoons or whatnot. But yeah, I liked him wearing the safari hat. I thought that was a good look for him.
Yeah. There were also some brand new promotional renders that on Rareware, the old Rare website, they had posted some of them under the 12 Tales Conker 64 moniker. One of them became the Conker's Pocket Tales artwork featuring characters that never showed up in Conker's Pocket Tales.
That's right. And there was the one they had shown before was him in the miner's hat.
Yeah. But then there were brand new ones. Apparently there were renders done for each of the worlds. There was one for the dinosaur world that features those little meerkat Compsognathus hybrid things.
The little raptors.
They don't look like raptors, man. They're like Compsognathi. Come on.
Oh, okay. 1998. That's what people thought raptors looked like, I'm sure. Little raptors. Little tiny ones.
The Compsognathus was in the Lost World movie.
Oh, okay, Chad. Not everybody's a dinosaur nerd like you, though. Okay.
Fine. And in fairness, I think there were actually pro Compsognathus in the book. So,
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. I like dinosaurs, Hyle. So anyway, that was cool. There was a green blobby looking thing that was probably also a dinosaur. It was cool because you could see as these renders were going along, you could see them getting more and more comfortable with the 3D software because they were getting a little bit better and better.
Furry shenanigans are on these new renders, whereas in the previously released ones, at least the miner hat and what became the Pocket Tales art, there was no furry shenanigans on Conker. Except the Pocket Tales art, there is an alternate version that exists with him having furry shenanigans. So it's weird.
Well, from this new video that they posted, there was a piece of artwork that looked like Conker was in a swamp, and he does not have furry shenanigans.
So taken from two different time periods, it seems like. But
there was also a render of the owl, which is strange because what we've seen in game of this owl animal buddy that can kind of lift you up and carry you around, he looks like a normal kind of organic owl. I think he was purple in the screenshots, or was it green?
Yeah. There's the owl, and then there was Barry's dinosaur friend who became the dinosaur Conker murders in Bad Fur Day.
Yeah, Bloopy. Yeah.
Bloopy,
so I think the owl was green because that dinosaur was purple.
Yeah.
But the render that was shown looked like the gold mechanical owl from Clash of the Titans. And I used to watch those Harryhausen movies as a kid, and so I had a memory of this mechanical owl, and I saw that in the video. I'm like, wait a second. I pulled it up, and it looks almost identical to the mechanical owl from that movie. Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, if they were struggling for designs and inspiration, maybe it's good that it went the Bad Fur Day route. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this was cool to see, though. I mean, it was just like, for one thing, the new renders are just always amazing to see whenever we get something like this, because I love that classic 90s Rare style render. It's something you don't really get nowadays. Everything is just so bland and homogenized.
I was listening to the Platonic panel from EGX, and they mentioned that in those early days, their 3D images were constructed out of NURBS. And
NURBS.
I'm not familiar enough to know whether Moose has rightful rage or not. But wait, was his name Moose?
There's always a bully named Moose.
There's a Moose.
There's always a Moose.
No, but I'm not sure of the difference between NURBS and traditional vectory kind of 3D software packages, or even if there is a difference. But I think it was Steve Mails that said that that was a learning curve for them when they moved from DKC over to Banjo. So yeah, I think that might be one of the reasons why there's that distinctive, rare look to all of those early renders.
Well, especially, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the software they were using and whatnot, but
me neither.
I know as a fan, I always liked the rare style of those days more, especially when you compare them to like what Nintendo has nowadays, where everything is just so like uniform in appearance. And I liked there's more variety and soul to them.
Oh, a NURB, I've just looked it up, is a non-uniform rational B-spline.
Well, okay. Why didn't you just say that? That makes sense to me.
See, I didn't do my homework. Had I, then I wouldn't have needed to explain, but now everyone's clear on the concept.
Yeah, I just realized Conker and Barry are like wearing Converse shoes.
Just straight up Converse? Does it even have like the circle with the star inside?
They don't have the star, but it has the circle, yeah. Okay.
Oh, well, yeah. So that's the Bart Simpson shoe. It's with the circle on the side. That's kind of a standard cartoon shoe.
Okay. Well, I forgot you ran the Simpsons Flying Hellfish newsletter, and
you remembered what it was called. Yeah,
and yeah, I'm sure you had like the foot fetish section, feet of the month.
Oh yeah, every issue there was a feet of the month section. One weird thing about that though, much like the episode from which we derived our name, we didn't know whether we should call it the flying hellfish or the fighting hellfish because it's referred to as both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it was an America Online email newsletter with two names.
Those were the days.
Yep.
So anyway.
So yeah, anything else about this?
Just like the amount of like things you would have. Like there's a part where Conker is using a kite as a hang glider, and this is one of like the few times where it's acknowledged that Conker is a squirrel and he's kind of small. Like everything is usually to scale for his size. So when you see something like him maneuvering a kite and using it as a hang glider, it's like, oh yeah, he's a fucking squirrel.
Yeah. There was also that the acknowledgement that much like Pocket Tales, you could dash to get Conker running on all fours.
Yeah, that's true. That's not something that carried over into Bad Fur Day.
That was one of the more frustrating mechanics in Pocket Tales, admittedly, because I think to run, didn't you have to double tap the direction button?
I think once like you play the game for a while, you just forget about it, and it's something you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm watching this footage again, and there's a bit in the video where Conker is like, it's at like the 1 minute 2 second mark, and he's wearing sunglasses and he's just strutting about.
Yeah, I noticed that like his head has this like warbling thing going on. Like, he looks like a bobblehead.
And
that is the most confident cartoon squirrel I have ever seen.
Yeah. So anyway, and then there's the unicycle that he rides for some reason.
Is it a unicycle? It looks like the thing that Rob the Robot would play with. The little it's just a circle with a stick going through it.
Well, I mean, it's essentially. I mean, if
I know Luis calls it a unicycle, but I don't know what other name there would be for it. But I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Now you mentioned or you alluded to the fact that there were acorns in this game. Yeah. So we finally see footage of the acorn enemies. We've
seen footage previously on the VHS tape that Amir leaked.
Okay. But I guess this is our first high resolution footage of them.
Right.
And they appeared on the Conker's Pocket Tales box art, but they never actually appeared within the game. They were only friendly acorn people and the evil acorn in that game. But yeah, these are minions, like just acorn drones that fight you. So
as they are wont to do.
As they're wont to do, yeah. So yeah, this was like. It's just made my week seeing this, like more than anything else we saw this week about Conker, like seeing this footage, like because this was a game that I was following, from 97 on, and especially from the end of 97 on when I learned that Conker was going to debut in Diddy Kong Racing. By the way, they showed Diddy Kong Racing footage in this video.
Of just Banjo and Conker, but yes, they did, and it also looked like it was newly captured, which was very nice to see.
Yeah, I'm glad they had the balls to include that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've ever since they kind of came back in E3, they've been acknowledging the existence of the Donkey Kong elements of their back catalog.
Not as much though as they've been a little bit cautious. I think the most they ever reference is when they say the name of our website or our podcast, or when we ask them which Brothers Bear is best. But it was like they actually had footage of Diddy Kong Racing, and I know that game is potentially considered a legal minefield, so it's interesting to see it show up. I wonder what Kevin Callahan would have to say about that.
Why don't we ask him? Oh wait, he's fictional.
He's okay. There's somebody who exists who's writing that blog. It's not like
that's Skynet, Hyle.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, do you think it's an algorithm that somebody devised to create Diddy Kong Racing hoaxes?
I do. Yeah, it's gonna bring about the end times. We're gonna have to live close to the Earth's core for warmth, all because of Kevin Callahan and your insistence that he's real.
I like to imagine now the end of Diddy Kong Racing Wii U or Diddy Kong Racing NX, whatever it's going by now. That how at the end of the original game they all have that party and they have the conga line.
Of course.
Why now they'll have a cave rave like in The Matrix Reloaded.
Everyone's favorite scene from the Matrix films.
Yeah, everybody's just getting muddy and fucking. Yeah.
Yeah. You need a high octane cave rave to really bring people into the concept of a Matrix sequel. That was a smart move on the Wachowskis' part.
Yeah. I don't know. Bumper is off to the side, furiously masturbating as he's wont to do.
Well, yeah, that's his MO. We've all seen the police file.
That's sort of canon. Anyway.
I doubt Rare would ever admit to such, but sort of canon.
Sort of canon.
The way that we define canon, probably canon.
But yeah, so I followed this game pretty hardcore up through its evolution, and then it kind of fell off the face of the earth sometime after Banjo-Kazooie, or maybe early 99, I forget exactly when it did, and then it resurfaced this Bad Fur Day, but I'll always have a soft spot in my heart, looking closely at the screenshots from Nintendo Power, trying to decipher clues and whatnot.
Yeah, and there were Rare's direct feed screenshots from the Rareware website, the ones that would always have the Rare logo in the corner. I remember there was one that was a 4-player split screen of just Conkers and berries fighting each other. No weapons. It just looked like they were all running at each other and attacking with their hands.
And what wasn't there didn't it look like one of them was being decapitated? There was that one screenshot where
it looked like that, but I don't think that's what was happening. I think that was a trick of the polygon.
Okay. Because I remember even touting that at the time, look, there's going to be decapitations in multiplayer. Which did come to pass from a certain point of view.
Rated KA for kids to adults.
Adults are in there. They like decapitations.
That's true. As an adult, I can attest to that. So, shall we take another call?
Let's take another call.
Hey, it's, me again. I'm actually, well, since you asked, I got a Conker question for you guys. It's kind of a big one.
Ooh.
So, we know what happened to Conker's Big Reunion. It kind of sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Know what happened? It was pretty good, actually. I even bought the whole thing, but anyway. My question is this.
Disney?
does a Conker sequel need to be vulgar like Bad Fur Day? Like, so here's the thing I don't get about Conker. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Bad Fur Day when I played on Rare Replay, but you really need to be so vulgar. Like, you know, Banjo can hide adult jokes and it's perfectly fine. It's just, it's more subtle. But Conker, you know, it's all in your face about it. Go, oh look at me, I'm gonna take a poo poo, that kind of thing. But can a Conker game be like Pocket Toes in today's age and be successful? Basically, can we have a Conker game that's like here's a perfect there's a perfect comparison. When Stephen Colbert did the Colbert Report, you know, it's vulgar or whatever, and now he's doing the Late Show. He can't say as much, he can't cuss as much, he can you know, make as many jokes about his guests or anything. You know, he has to be a little nice. So what I'm asking is this: can the Conker game be like the Late Show with Stephen Colbert? Yeah. And in my opinion, I think it would be a worthy investment to kind of tone down Conker. Like, he can still be badass, but just, you know, make, like, the character himself does not cuss that much. Just, you know, tone down the world he's in to more down to earth and kind of thing. Like, just not make it like purposely, aggressively, you know, crude. Yeah, I guess we got to go now.
Is Joker coming to pull him back into the cell?
And hope you guys look forward to whatever happens to Conker in the future. I think he's a bright one. Because, you know, he's a cool little squirrel. See you guys now. Bye.
And that's the end of the call. Okay.
Well, riveting as always, Mamechi.
Thank you for the call.
So now I want to see Conker host his own late night talk show, and like he can have the Weasels as his house band, and
I think that would be a success.
Yeah.
But to answer the question,
basically what he was asking is, can Conker stop being vulgar like that filthy Stephen Colbert and keep it clean for the straights out there?
I don't think Stephen Colbert was ever, you know, rude and crude. But he was playing a character, and I mean, he was never really vulgar, though, was he?
No, he wasn't. I mean, there was like off-color jokes, but there's off-color jokes on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So
sorry, Mamechi, I don't think that's a valid
comparison. No, I'll play along. It's kind of the same thing. Like, can you like? Because that's basically what the Late Show is. It's the Colbert Report through a strainer. So, yeah, I'll play along with that notion.
Okay. Maybe not in terms of content, but certainly in terms of targeting a different audience.
Well, look, I'll just say this. You brought it up. We'll talk about it later in the show, but let's just talk about Big Reunion, because that was rated teen, and I thought it was a perfect compromise. It allowed Conker. He was still. I mean, fuck. The game started with a squirrel crawling out of his ass, and I mean, there was a scene where he pissed on his friend Birdie, and I thought,
how did that get a teen rating? Actually,
because, well, you know, we're just such a much more vulgar society now, Chad. You know.
We are in a post Late Show with Stephen Colbert world.
No, I mean, but for the most part, Big Reunion was relatively tame compared to Bad Fur Day, and I thought it was fine. It felt right to me. It was like a nice compromise between the two styles of Conker, and
really,
so yeah. In my opinion, yeah. I mean,
I would disagree. While there are elements of Bad Fur Day that certainly have not aged well, I don't think that anyone would ever try and make a Conker game that's like a full-on Conker game made on its own engine that's toned down to the degree that Mamechi is looking for. Mostly because
we're never going to see a Pocket Tales again. I mean, that's for sure.
Yeah, but even then, I think that a lot of the comedy is derived from the juxtaposition of a relatively benign squirrel in this crazy world.
But would there be any comedy from that anymore? Everybody knows Conker and Conker's world, and it like the humor was that, oh, this is a cartoon squirrel in a cartoon world, but everybody's filthy, and this is turning 3D platformers on their head. Well, we've seen that now, so revisiting that is just more of the same.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I think that a Conker sequel could have the opportunity to take it in some very interesting directions. You know,
well, look, we've always said
Dante's Divine Comedy.
Yeah,
that whole idea I think would be really cool. And you could still have crazy, bizarre, supernatural scenarios and that Conker is encountering. And he just wants to get Barry back, all of this stuff. But it would be. There are ways to do it. I just think that within that, though, people would still have an expectation of, this extreme early seasons of South Park style vulgarity. I don't think that. I think that what happened in Big Reunion was sort of. It was. I don't know. It seemed like it was trying to cater to that middle ground audience, but not really satisfying everyone. And I know that we appreciate it for what it is, but I think that.
But you see, there were jokes in Big Reunion that made me laugh out loud. Like I thought it was well written, and I thought it made me laugh a lot harder than anything from Bad Fur Day does nowadays.
So that's another interesting point, though, the notion that it was well written. We have recently learned that Conker's Bad Fur Day wasn't really written.
Yeah.
So I wonder if perhaps something was lost by trying to rigidly script that chapter of the now canceled game rather than doing some improvisational thing. And again, I don't think that we could ever I don't think that Rare could ever recapture the spirit of Bad Fur Day, because you're not going to get Chris Seaver back to improvise in a recording studio with Robin Beanland for weeks on end. He's busy working on on Rusty Pub over at Gory Detail.
Well, the thing is, okay, I think it would a Conker game you would have to have some sort of story structure to it. Like Bad Fur Day, it's miraculous it was as good as it was if there was really no forethought put into it. Maybe that's too extreme of phrasing, but as far as the script goes, it's amazing it was as consistent as it was.
Yeah, I would guess that there were a lot of times where they went back and punched things up because
there would have to be, because it's not all improv. There's clearly stuff that they pick up on later on, stuff that's called back to.
Batula mentions the war of long ago with the Panthers and the Squirrels. Like if you didn't know that you had the Panther King as the major baddie, obviously that line would never exist. There's the whole thing about the Milk Wars and the Kulas of Conk. I mean that's all like. It's all internally consistent, even if it makes no sense, really. I mean, it's right.
It's you've always said, and again, this is I think it was us reading way too much into it and giving Rare way too much credit, but that it was a piss take. It was a parody of insanely in-depth game stories. It was just them being weird.
¿Por qué no los dos? I mean, it could have. I think
that's Spanish. That's Spanish.
Yeah. I know. It's from the commercial with the little tortilla girl. You don't know the old El Paso commercial? ¿Por qué no los dos? Maybe that's just... Okay,
that might have been a Southwestern thing.
Maybe. This is what happens when I try and use, in-jokes for my marriage on the air. Because Janelle and I have been saying ¿Por qué no los dos to each other for years now.
Yeah, and you're both from Texas. And now that you're on the Eastern Seaboard, you need to,
¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah. No. New York City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pace
anyway.
Picante. So,
but
I forget what I was. Oh, yeah. So I actually asked during this Twitch stream yesterday. I asked, Rare. Presumably, it would supposedly be answered by the people on the couch, but I doubt they would know. It was really more of a Lee Loveday question. Was that overly complicated Bad Fur Day story really a piss take, or was it a parody? Like, what was the deal with all of that? And unfortunately, during the stream, my audio kept cutting out. So I heard the question come up. I don't know what the answer was. I'm a bad journalist that's not a journalist. And I was I don't know what the ultimate word was on that, but we're probably reading too much into it.
Yeah, but all the same, it exists. It exists, so I would want a proper sequel to actually follow up on this stuff. Like, I wouldn't want them just to wing it for a sequel, and that's the thing. Like, once you establish that, you're going to have fans of that. And to just wing it, as some of the ideas for Conker's Other Bad Day, or Other Day, or whatever it was called, Other Bad Day, some of the ideas we've heard from that never really sat right with me, and I understand that's just because basically we fell in love with that nighttime portion of the game where the game actually gets like a little bit mature in the like more sophisticated sense where it actually has something to say rather than poop is funny.
Yeah.
And
although, hey, in fairness to the early sections, poop is quite funny.
It really is. But basically, you know, it had some pathos to it, and it actually had some weight to it. It had a message at the end of the game. However, like glib that message actually was, like,
right.
Yeah, it like. Anyway, don't get your girlfriend murdered with your greed, you asshole.
That's what I took out of it.
I did, and so far so good.
Yeah.
Right, Michelle? So anyway. That's right, Hyle.
She's a little hand puppet.
That's yeah, just a crusty old hand puppet.
Oh, Jesus Christ. As soon as I said hand puppet, as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I knew I had inadvertently teed up a cum joke.
To be fair, Chad, semen is funny.
That's true.
Just like poop.
It's quite funny.
So anyway, I would want Conker in the sequel to swim in a big vat of semen. Like off-white.
Jesus Christ.
That's the natural progression, right? Poop. All right.
The great mighty spooge.
Yeah, Cumby.
Just
okay. Anyway, ironically enough, his horse would still be Pokey. Anyway, so I'm
getting too old for this.
I'm getting too old for this shit.
Yeah. I feel like Danny Glover.
But no, I am getting too old for this shit in that I would want a Conker sequel to not just be poop jokes. And that's what I at least appreciated about Big Reunion was it didn't just, you know, go, it wasn't just the Conker's greatest hits, like, poop monsters, yeah. So, I don't know, like, the ideas for Other Bad Day, like, he spent all of the, like, kingdom's money on like booze and hookers or whatever, like, okay.
yeah that's what it was. And so they jailed him at the top of a tower, and the first bit was he was still manacled to one of those, he had a ball and chain on, and maybe
actually seeing it play out would change my opinion, but we were always attached to our idea of Conker learned a lesson and decided to become a better person in the sequel. It was still in a twisted world, of course.
I don't know that was ever my thought.
No, he's trying to atone for what he did by bringing Barry back.
Yeah, but I think but I would still think that Conker is a quite flawed character, and he's almost sociopathic at certain points of Bad Fur Day. You know, they say he's a nice little squirrel in a crazy world, but that's not really true.
No, he's a fucking monster. He's basically, I mean,
I don't know about that, but he's definitely not an innocent.
No, but I that's what, again, I appreciate in Big Reunion where he said that he was no hero. He had self-awareness, at least, that wasn't there before. So yeah, anyway, what was the point? Like, yeah.
Apologies for the siren in the background.
Yeah, clearly it's a fan. The police officers in Brooklyn are fans of Chris Seaver's proposed Conker's Other Bad Day, and they're coming to arrest us.
It's the NYPD all over.
So yeah. Anyway, I would want a Conker sequel to have some maturity, and to answer Momechi's question, I think it wouldn't have to be rated M to have the weight of the latter half of Bad Fur Day. But I think you wouldn't want to limit yourself either. I like that Conker can be in a T game, and it's fine, and that makes it more flexible for him to crop up elsewhere if there was a collection, like a rare fighting game, for example, Conker could show up there now, and it wouldn't seem so odd, especially in light of both Big Reunion and Rare Replay.
Oh, but I don't think it would ever seem. I mean, there are going to be Conker elements in Fast and the Furious. There's like I don't think that as long as the
I think we're thinking more of that Nintendo rule where like they pulled Diddy Kong Racing from the shelves and Pocket Tales because he was in an M-rated game, and now Conker was blacklisted from ever interacting with anybody who is in an E game. I think that period is that's not a problem with Microsoft. That period's over. Nintendo, they were a bunch of sorry ass prudes back in the day, you know.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
All right, Steph.
Scrap 69 in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, I would be okay with it. I think you could bring the attitude with a game that's not rated M, but I don't know if an E rating is ever appropriate for Conker again, because you would need to push the boundaries as much as you could.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what. Regardless of what we think would be tonally more interesting for Conker, the vast majority of the fans of Bad Fur Day, I have a feeling, would reject the notion of a toned-down Conker.
Yeah, let's be fair. We don't speak for the majority of Conker fans out there.
Right.
The majority of Conker fans, it's the Great Mighty Pooh. I mean, we call him Chucky Pooh because that's his name, but they know him as the Great Mighty Pooh.
That's
the majority of Conker fans.
That's his title.
Yeah, but the majority of Conker fans out there, that's what the game is. It's the, and to be fair, that's still hilarious that was in a video game. So I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but we come at it from a weird place in that we're Conker elitist. You know.
Yeah, our Conker opinions are better than the mainstream Conker opinions.
No, we're conceited about it, and we have to realize that people like the early part of Conker. That's what people remember the best. They remember It's War from the multiplayer. They don't remember It's War, the chapter itself.
Right, because to get to the chapter itself means you have to swim through those fucking saw blades.
Or you have to brave the whole zombie portion, which, man, fuck that. That almost broke me back in the day.
I still haven't gotten past that on Rare Replay because of the reversed stick controls. I can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing Bad Fur Day a little bit, and it's easy once you. Again, I guess when I'm playing video games, I can forget any wonky controls with enough time. Like my brain can adapt to it, but
I don't know. It's the exact same issue as Jet Force's pre-modern control scheme on Rare Replay, and now that I have that on Jet Force, every time I try and play Conker, I'm doing that with my hands, and I can't. At some point, I'll just power through and replay it over and over and over.
God, you are such a spoiled. Like, check your privilege, Chad. Check your privilege. There are poor children in Africa who have to make do with reverse controls in their classic '90s video games. So, suck it up.
That's true. I apologize. I'm not anti-refugee. I know that they've been dealing with a lot.
I thought you were going to launch into a Donald Trump impression there.
This is not a popular opinion. No, I'm sick of fucking Donald Trump.
He doesn't even say that anymore. He basically says, "This is a popular opinion. My opinions are popular. I'm the greatest." Trump 2016.
Yeah. If you don't agree with me, you're a loser.
My daughter is hot.
Losers voting for me. Winners only. I'm running a winners campaign.
Let's see if I can do this. My daughter is hot. I want to fuck her. Trump 2016. Oh, he said that if his daughter wasn't his daughter, he would date her.
If she was not a blood relative and our children would come out all wonky in their brains, I would like to stick myself in her anatomy. Trump 2016.
As the crowd cheers. I thought the same thing about my daughter.
Finally, someone who speaks for my concerns.
So this is why we'll never have a show on CBS.
Yeah. Donald Trump, the name for incest.
But the classiest incest, Chad.
That's true.
24 karat incest.
I've run many businesses while I was fantasizing about family members. Trump 2016. Are you ready to talk about something else?
Let's talk up. Let's get medieval, Chad.
Well, actually, hang on. I think I spoke out of turn because Memechi did mention the fact the Conker's Big Reunion has been canceled.
Well, let's save that because that's the future of Conker. We're doing this in chronological order. Conker's many cancellations. That's basically what this episode is. So
yeah,
I mean, let's do it in order. Let's go to his next canceled game, or I guess 12 Tales wasn't canceled, but you know what I mean. Let's go to the next failure in Conker's horrible career.
How about we take a phone call in the hopes that it mentions another game?
Okay.
Hey, this is Dustin Demon calling in for Conker Week. Isn't that awesome and exciting? So something I've always been interested in is character design. So I've been kind of comparing the character design differences between both the Nintendo 64 version of Conker and the Xbox version. You know, comparing the little details, little changes, and I wanted to know which aesthetic do you prefer between the two versions? The N64 version kind of has more of a Looney Tunes or Tex Avery kind of feel to it. I think. I don't know if that's definitely what they were going for, but that's what I got out of it. While the Xbox one kind of feels a little more Pixar-ish, DreamWorks-ish, kind of, just because they are able to give the characters more detail and stuff. So I was kind of looking at the designs from each version side by side, and, I kind of preferred how Conker looks in the Nintendo 64 version. His Xbox version kind of looks a little stumpier, a little too cutesy, I think. So, yeah, which version has the better artistic design aesthetic for you guys? Thanks a lot. Have a great rest of the show.
Which Conker design aesthetic is best? Which Conker design aesthetic is best? Which I can't continue.
No,
thank you for the
you
call.
shouldn't have even started. Yeah. Thank you, Dustin Diamond.
I have a fondness for entirely opinion-based questions framed as a stark black and white. This option is better than the other option. Questions. I don't know. I like when people force you to make a choice.
Well, this is America. That's how our body politic works. I mean, you know, you've got to, if you're on one side, you've got to agree with all of these issues lockstep, and vice versa. So, you know, that's the way it works. This is not a
country founded on nuance.
No, absolutely not. So, to answer the question, the N64 version all the way.
Yep, no arguments here.
I mean, look, the Xbox game, the Xbox version was beautiful. It still is beautiful. I mean, I think it still holds up. But, yeah, there was something lost in the translation, I think.
Yeah, and it's strange. I mean, I think that at Rare they probably agree, considering this is the version that they put in Rare Replay.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I wonder what the guiding objectives, like what were the conversations that happened when they updated to Live and Reloaded? Because as Dustin said, yeah, it seems like something, the original inspiration for Bad Fur Day was lost a little bit.
They tried to modernize it too much, which is weird to say because it only came out 4 years after the original. But
right,
yeah, they tried to be more contemporary, and they added shit like Van Helsing references, which good lord, that doesn't hold up. At the very least, what
Bad Fur Day, even Hugh Jackman remembers Van Helsing.
At the very least, you know, what Bad Fur Day parodies is more timeless. You know, the Matrix was the most contemporary kind of joke in that game, and I mean, everybody still remembers that for the first Matrix movie. It's not, you know, it's not like you're making a joke about the Ghost Twins, you know,
or everyone's favorite film from that era, Lost in Space. There was a Lost in Space reference in Bad Fur Day.
Was there?
Yeah, there actually was.
Well, did Matt LeBlanc show up and say, "Oh, this is gonna kill my movie career"? Oh.
I forgot he was in that.
Good thing I had that Joey spinoff to fall back on.
No, it was actually that section where there are those exploding robotic crab things that are chasing Conker down a hallway, and one of their legs snaps off right as the doors close. There was a scene virtually identical to that in the Lost in Space trailer.
How do you remember that? How do you remember there was a Lost in Space movie in the late 90s?
Because I remember that reference because I wrote an article about it on DK Vine way back when. There's actually a checklist, a Conker's Bad Fur Day checklist that was written before the game's release, where we were trying to count, identify all the ones that we possibly could, and that was one of them.
Well, I take it back. Fuck Bad Fur Day.
Was Jeff Daniels in that movie? Am I remembering that wrong?
Oh, was it Jeff Daniels?
In Lost in Space? Yeah, I think it might. I don't remember.
I wonder if Jeff Daniels sits in a dark room at night with a loaded pistol in his lap, contemplating Lost in Space, Dumb and Dumber 2, or The Newsroom. Which one should I end my life over tonight?
Oh, jeez. I like Jeff Daniels.
He's a fine actor. He just needs to pick his projects better.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, at any rate,
was he? Was he in Lost in Space? I don't want to make a Jeff Daniels suicide joke over nothing.
No, I'm looking it up right now. Matt LeBlanc was definitely in it. Gary Oldman.
It was Gary Oldman. Yeah.
Yeah. Gary Oldman was. He was the main guy from Lost in Space.
Gary Oldman from Lost in Space.
Lost in Space is Gary Oldman.
So Jeff Daniels, I take it back. Put the gun down. Gary
Pick
Oldman.
the gun up.
Sorry, buddy. Yeah, sorry, buddy. All right.
Beloved character actor, Lost in Space's Gary Oldman.
You were a terrific Dracula and Commissioner Gordon, but I'm sorry, Lost in Space. You gotta go.
Ooh, that makes 2 Gary Oldman references in Bad Fur Day.
That's true. Yeah. Of course, Bram Stoker's Dracula, I associate that more with Bad Fur Day than anything. But considering The Simpsons also did a parody of it, I think Bad Fur Day's in a clear referencing that.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves. Yeah, that's 2 Keanu Reeves references, too.
What's the other one? Was
Bram
he
Stoker's
in
Dracula.
Bram Stoker's Dracula? Yeah, you're right.
He was Jonathan. He was Jonathan Harker.
Yep.
I believe his character's name, and he was shit awful in that movie. As was Winona Ryder. They were fucking abysmal in that movie. I appreciate that movie because it tied in the historical Vlad Tepes the Impaler into Dracula's backstory. But good lord, some of the casting in that was awful. Gary Oldman was good though.
All right. This has been Chad and Hyle on films.
So anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah.
The art styles.
Live and Reloaded, it felt like they were trying to. They took the original game and they tried to make it something it was not some of the time, and they should have just stuck. They just should have done better graphics for Bad Fur Day, but left the soul of it alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. But while we're talking about artistic intent, a somewhat tortured segue into Conker Getting Medieval, of which we've seen lots of concept art.
Conker Getting Medieval. There's no G on the end of that, and in the logo on the YouTube video released this past Monday, there is no second T in Getting either.
Yeah, but they helpfully clarified in the description of that YouTube video that the actual title does have 2 T's despite the logo. So the aforementioned Matt Corna, who does everything on DK Vine, which is not sarcasm, he actually
he actually does this show too. This is just him doing silly voices right now.
Yeah, he's very good. And this is a little self-centered as I'm saying that about myself, but this is a very good
We
voice
are Matt Corna, yeah.
Yeah. And we're very good at talking over ourselves as well.
That's a really impressive thing. How does he? How do we as Matt Corna do that?
Yeah, and you'd think that we would be better at not talking over each other quite so much.
But that's how good we are. we purposely have shoddy host skills just to create the illusion that we're two different people.
So, at any rate, Matt corrected the logo for Rare. So, Rare, if you...
I don't know how he does this. He is so skilled with Photoshop. He is like a fucking wizard, like Woolworth the Wizard from off of Conker's Pocket Tales. That's what Matt is with Photoshop.
Yeah, and he didn't just duplicate the T. He actually made it look as if it was a completely individually rendered T. Like, God damn it, Matt.
Fuck you for being so good and helpful.
Fuck you, you Renaissance man. So, at any rate...
Was that going to be the next game, Conker, Renaissance Man?
Yeah, after Conker Bronze Age, and yeah. So, this was... I think we'd heard the title before, but...
We heard the title and some big notions of it, but it kind of like just fell down a memory hole for me because you hear so much about like canceled Rare games, aborted Rare games from that time period. So it's just like, okay, like we knew more about Conker's Other Bad Day than this. Like Chris Seaver wanted to do Conker's Other Bad Day, and he wanted to do a straight up like all multiplayer follow up, basically bifurcating Live and Reloaded into two entities. I'm not sure who was really asking for the all multiplayer.
Well, I think it seems like that was really where Chris Seaver's passion was at
right,
that
but
time.
I'm not sure that's where the fan base's passion was, though.
Yeah, I mean, I never really... this was sort of when I was falling out with games a bit, when we were sort of ramping up with Elvis and Slick, and I never really played the Xbox Live service, like that version of the multiplayer in Live and Reloaded. So perhaps there was a very vibrant community that really would have been into getting medieval. I don't know.
It was the DK Vine forum, basically.
Was it really?
Oh yeah, they were big into the multiplayer, but even then, I think they acknowledged it was kind of mediocre. It was just a fun community thing to play in Conker's World, but. I'm not shit talking. I'm getting medieval though. As much as I would have not really looked forward to this concept upon initially hearing it, I have to admit this does seem kind of cool.
Yeah, especially considering, speaking of playing around in Conker's World, one of the things in this video, by the way, this was a video that Rare posted again, one of their non-Rare Replay, Rare Revealed videos, which it's amazing that they're still doing these. That's an unnecessary display of generosity.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just love that Conker is just, or not Conker. I love that Rare is embracing their entire past and including Conker. Like it's nice to see that like these things are being talked about again and openly celebrated, and Rare is being delightfully weird. You know, after the Connect Sports years where they're they're very buttoned up, and it's nice to see them with the lampshade over their head again.
Yeah, letting their freak flag fly. But one thing that Seaver mentioned in this was that much like the Live and Reloaded multiplayer, it really it wouldn't involve Conker directly. I mean, he would show up sort of tangentially to what's going on, but it was more...
I'm thinking as a framing device, like the beginning of the game, because it's all set in the past.
Is it set in the past?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it involved a lot of medieval style imagery, or if it was
No, it's set during the Middle Ages, and the character who would basically center around would be Greg, the Grim Reaper.
Right. That was the cool thing that I really liked. Is that like everything is about your interactions with Greg and the very concept of death, and that was a really cool notion for a framing device, to reuse your phrase. I guess I don't know how Conker would have interacted with it himself. I guess here's a story about my ancestors. And
I think it would be like Conker running into Greg and Greg telling him the story or something. Maybe Conker would have even gone to Greg to like ask about death, like about Barry, maybe like where is she, and Greg goes on this long rambling story about the Middle Ages. I don't know.
Well,
but
apparently you can have as many failed game concepts as you think you can get away with. That needs to be pitched up, really.
Okay. But anyway, so I don't know if I would have like appreciated the aesthetic and what this brought to Conker's world and the Donkey Kong universe in general back then. I've come to appreciate like the Dark Ages. That's a term historians don't like anymore, but the medieval era, I've come to appreciate that as a setting a lot more in recent years. So yeah, I'm kind of digging this art we've seen.
Yeah, there was a lot of fantasy inspiration. There were some
little bit.
It looked like sort of the fell beasts that the the ring wraiths would fly around on. It looked,
they were dragons, were they not? I mean,
yeah, but there were dragons that evoked the imagery of the Lord of the Rings films.
Yeah, okay.
More so than like a traditional,
but not Smaug.
No, not Smaug. I mean, Smaug is a worm actually from the Firelands. So,
but they call him a dragon in the Hobbit trilogy.
Oh wait, no. Smaug is a dragon. So Smaug, I think, had a mate that was a worm. I don't know. It's been a while.
They don't mention that in the Hobbit trilogy. Peter Jackson's The Hobbit trilogy. But Kate from Lost is in it.
With that running time, you think they could have gone like into the whole history of worms and dragons and
there is a scene where Gandalf does the worm though.
Sir Ian McKellen had a body double. He's getting up there.
That was in hour 7 of the extended edition of Battle of the Five Armies. So check that out. Coming out on DVD. So anyway,
yeah, they laid down a piece of cardboard in Goblin Town.
They didn't go to Goblin Town. Well, they might go back to Goblin Town in the extended edition. It's not out yet. So
yeah, well, they got to go there and back again, and obviously that takes them down through Goblin Town.
Yeah, I was disappointed the back again part. They did actually like just revisit the whole fucking like past 2 movies, but in reverse.
Remember like Beorn's cottage?
It's like in Jungle Hijinks where you can go backwards after like you reach the end of the level and there's like the dark clouds that moved in. So it'd just be the same thing. It would just be the sky would be different.
Yeah. Look, Bilbo, it's your trolls. It's like, yeah, we saw those a month ago.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the art style. I mean, there were teddies here. There were squirrels. There was one squirrel who looked quite a bit like Conker. I'm wondering if he was supposed to be one of his ancestors, perhaps even Batula.
Yeah, you're talking about the one that had like a teddy head impaled on a stick above his, like on his steed.
Yeah, which makes me wonder if this even, I don't know if this would be the intention, but we could certainly fan wank it. This was the Milk Wars.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. Oh, it just dawned on you.
Yeah, I'm like, I just had a little epiphany. Yeah, if that was what this game was.
Holy shit! Yeah, Kulos of Conk and Batula fighting and like.
This is artwork of the fucking Coolest of Conk. That is what this is. It has to be.
I don't know.
My God.
Do they even remember that shit though? Like, if they were just winging it, like, is that giving them too much credit?
Who knows, really? Because it was all improv. It's all just jazz, baby.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I think it would be cool if the
whoa, Chad. You know who else does improv? Ryan Stiles.
Oh my God!
It all fits. It all fits.
They should get Ryan Stiles to get in a recording booth with Robin Beanland for a few weeks and come up with the Conker sequel.
There you go. Well, yeah, the next time when a Conker sequel is actually announced, we are going to be lobbying for Eggcorn People and Ryan Stiles. We are the worst fans in the world.
We are fans that want to sabotage the franchise for our own, like, gleefully anarchic needs.
Yeah, as much as I said like last episode that you have become such a continuity anarchist, I'm just as bad when it comes to actually getting shit in games that are that they're unquestionably DKU. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, it'd be great if you could reference this and that and that. I don't want you to build anything new. I just want you to reference all the old shit, and that gives my old nipples an erection. But you know. Mm-hmm. My old nipples being my 31-year-old nipples, but that's old for I guess gamers. So
as nipples go,
yeah. But yeah, I think this could be the Milk Wars. This is where because we know like Cripple Spack, which is a terrible name, and I don't I don't think they could. I don't think they could use that name ever again if he came back. They would probably just
Honestly, I'm surprised they ever used it before.
It's amazing what they. Well, it's because Americans don't know. Like SPAC is not in our vocabulary over here,
right?
Or at least it wasn't back before Conker introduced it to us, and Joe clarified it for us what it was. But
I was horrified when I learned that.
Yeah, so I think the ESRB like lets them get away with shit if like Grab by the Ghoulies. That's a name that shouldn't exist really when you think about it.
Right. Yeah.
But because Ghoulies, the pun doesn't really play over here, they got away with it.
I wonder, do you think Peggy rates them up?
I don't think Peggy cares. No, seriously, their name is Peggy probably because they like pegging. Like they are just like
what?
Peggy. They
no,
like.
I get it, but what does pegging have to do with an apathetic sensibility?
That because I'm saying like they rate games while they're getting pegged, and they don't care. They just follow what the ESRB does, and they're too busy getting pleasured with strap-ons.
You have a strange, beautiful mind, Hyle Russell.
Thanks. So anyway,
speaking of all these like the milk wars and all this crap, like there was one piece of concept art had. I think it is a teddy because upon closer examination, it looks like...
I was going to say we know that the professor had teddies and used teddies in the past. Like teddies returned in Bad Fur Day in the chronological sense,
in mechanical form.
Yeah, but teddies existed in some form or another back during this time period. So
yeah, so I mean, obviously there's teddy art and there's squirrel art, but one of them was like completely black, and initially I thought it was a Black Panther, tying together this whole war where the allies between the Conkers, between the squirrels and the Panthers, but I think it was actually just a very darkly colored teddy, because it looks like it has the same. It's like a 1-to-1 replacement with one of the Live and Reloaded Teddy classes. Unfortunately, but
hopefully there would be Panthers here somewhere because this could be about the Panther King and like how he usurped the Weasel King. So
right, yeah.
Which we presume is Cripple SPAC, but I know Live and Reloaded like muddied the waters there a bit. So.
Yeah, I can't speak with authority on the Live and Reloaded contributions to all of that, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm not as familiar as I should be, as any reasonable human would be.
As any Rare fan should be, really. But, I mean, we all have our gaps in our knowledge, so.
Yeah. It's impossible to... One thing that frustrates me about running this goddamn website is that...
It's running the goddamn website, but we all know Matt Corner runs the website.
Matt Corner... The two of us who are Matt Corner actually do it. No, it's that it does. There is a lot of overhead and time spent in doing this and not playing the games and poring over the details like we used to do when we were just high school students.
But we still have to go. That's why I don't understand. Like fundamentally, it was the same. We still had to go to school and we had homework. So how do we not have the time now?
It was because we were getting like. A, we didn't have girlfriends or significant others. B, we were getting like 4 hours of sleep a night and thumbing our nose at the concept of ever aging. Now we're in our 30s. And
I'm still getting 4 hours of sleep a night. I got 2 hours of sleep last night.
That's insane. Well, my body is falling apart if I don't get like at least 6 hours. And I also have, I have a wife that I want to spend time with, and it's hard, man. It's
shit! I haven't talked to Michelle in 2 weeks.
But no, it's like
I hope we're still engaged.
If you don't hear anything, it means you are.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll just ignore.
She has to actively nullify that. You can just go on the lam and you'll be engaged the rest of your life.
Okay, I'll just avoid her then. Great.
Yeah. But
see, it all works out.
I mean, it is very rewarding to do this kind of stuff, but there are people like on the forum, for example, who are much better authorities at this stuff, and I envy them that authority because they have the more time to spend with these worlds that that we are all such massive fans of.
The only gap in my knowledge, significant gap in my knowledge, really is the Viva Pinata series. That's basically it.
And Connect Sports, though, right?
And Connect Sports, yeah.
Yeah. At some point, I mean, hey, Connect Sports Season 2 and Rivals are both DKU. You're going to get to them in the slush fund once you beat Donkey Konga 2.
Sorry, I just saw red there for a second. What were you saying?
You just blacked out. Nothing. I was talking about Conker.
I love Conker. That's a great game. Great couple games games he got there.
Good squirrel. Definitely not a sociopath.
He's a fucking monster. So, anything else to say about getting medieval?
No, it was a cool little look at something that I never thought we would get a look at. I also like how for the video they tried to like pull out the most medieval Conker music they could get. Oh, wasn't it just the intro, the what is it, the March of Queen Mary or something like that?
Yeah, where he's sitting on the throne. Yeah. Which it was used in Clockwork Orange. Yeah. It's good. It's good. I also they did a great job with the video too. Like I want to give props to whoever at Rare was putting these together. Like even the artwork had little smoke tufts coming off of it. And they really CGI'd Chris Sieber. I actually thought he was there.
Yeah, that was great. Like you'd think that was some kind of a Pixar thing or something.
I think it was Matt Corna just impersonating him.
He just puts on one of those floppy newspaper kid hats and immediately it's like that's Chris Siever.
Yeah, he also did that from the toilet. You couldn't tell, but
well, anyway, I guess we can end on a downer because I guess that would be appropriate for a Conker episode considering
gone.
Yeah.
You never know what it is you have. Conker's big reunion.
So this is news that was a bummer to me. Initially, I eventually came to terms with it quite quickly. But yeah, so obviously we had Brian Perry on this show back when Big Reunion first came out.
Obviously.
I'm just referencing our own immediate past. And we were, I think, some of the biggest advocates for Conker in Spark on the internet. I mean, the people were like, and this is when things were, I think, like E3 onwards, a lot of the negativity has been turned around a slight bit. Rare Replay has definitely done wonders as far as soothing any wounds. Some of the more, I don't want to say fair-weathered fans, but
JonTron fans.
Yes. People are a lot more charitable towards Rare than they were just a couple of months ago. And
and it's a process. It's you're never going to get completely rid of that audience because there will always be someone who knows nothing of Rare but JonTron's Nuts and Bolts video and thinks that's all Rare is confronted with the Rare logo and wants to appear to their friends like they know something about video games, so makes this really shitty comment about how Rare ruined Banjo.
Chad, we all know all the good ones at Rare left in 1723. So
that's proven fact.
That is fact. Rare has never had any good ones. They've had negative good ones.
Back when Rare was the only Hanafuda card manufacturing company in England.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo.
No, I got the reference, but again, more clever than funny.
It's my cross to bear.
So anyway, basically, the whole model for Project Spark is changing. It's basically a free game now. Sucks for those of us who bought it, but I was glad to put money towards Conker. I was glad to show my support. I don't care.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not going to change my tune on this. I'm not going to say, oh well, yep, this whole thing was folly. Like, no, it was nice. It got us Conker back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here.
Go for it,
Dennis Miller. I've been referencing him all episode. Remember Dennis Miller? Remember him? He was on Saturday Night Live.
And I'm more clever than funny.
That's true. Well, you are basically Diet Dennis Miller, Chad.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So, anyway, no, there's some people on the DK Vine forum, and I'm sure elsewhere, that are gloating about this. Like, oh, I told you so. I told you so. And there are other people.
I fucking hate this Schadenfreude sensibility that people get about like making predictions about the quality of something that is a complete stab in the dark, usually cynical. I'm getting on your soapbox.
Oh, well, I don't know if the soapbox isn't that well made. I mean, it was made in America, so it's kind of, it'll buckle under our weight. And
all right, well, get the fuck off for a moment, because I'm sick of people that sit on the sidelines, never want to claim enthusiasm over anything.
Right.
Then...
It's better to not believe in anything, and so you can always be right, than it is to go out on a limb and have hope and put out positive vibes, you know?
Yeah, and really that victory of saying "I told you so." How is that not just the most hollow existence in the world?
Well, yeah, that's why you're never looking forward to anything, because you never allow yourself. You're just a perpetual ball of negativity, and
yeah.
Regardless
of that, Big Reunion, what it did exactly what it promised to do. They never even said they would have multiple chapters. They just called this one Episode 1. I remember our interview with Brian Perry. He was very cautious even about going out on a limb there, and right. I don't see it as a betrayal of what Project Spark was. It
is a bit disheartening though that Project Spark is essentially a failure, and
No, it's not.
It's a failure.
Are you reading? But are you thinking that this whole move is a spin? Because they're saying it's now an open platform. What do you think of it?
I think it hasn't generated much revenue, and they're hoping that making it free will boost the Xbox One. They're taking a hit basically for Project Spark as a money-making entity to help boost the Xbox One's wares, I think. But I don't know, and that I could be completely wrong, and I probably am, because I'm not an expert on anything. But it is disheartening, because Project Spark is a powerful game-making tool, and the same week that Super Mario Maker has been announced to have reached 1 million copies sold, Project Spark is essentially not being put out to pasture, but essentially having its legs cut out from underneath it. That's disheartening to see that this is something that Microsoft could have promoted. There's no cultural awareness for Project Spark beyond people who somehow found out about it.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. I'm loving this current era for the Xbox. St. Phil Spencer is doing a heck of a job, Brownie. But he, not he, but I don't know. Like, there's no advertisers. There's no awareness for a lot of this stuff. Rare Replay, a lot of people knew about it, but where were the ads for it? Where are the commercials? I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't watched TV in a long time. There might have been commercials.
I don't think there were, but I don't know. It's just like more people should know about Project Spark. Like, Nintendo is basically doing a blitzkrieg for Super Mario Maker, and it's reached 1 million copies. Project Spark is an infinitely more powerful tool, and granted, it's less accessible. It's harder to get the handle on, but anyway.
They still don't have a raise though.
What's that?
Nothing. Okay, this is sort of a tangent that will bring me into another silver lining on this whole thing. I mentioned that they still don't have support for arrays, which is a type of object container in programming, which would make programming a lot of elements in Conker's Pocket Tales HD a lot easier. That's something that's being undertaken by our forum's own Secret Agent Ape.
Super Kong's nephew on the DK Vine forum.
Super Kong's nephew on the forum, yeah. On Twitter, he's Special Agent Ape, actually. But anyway, he is doing things in Project Spark that it was never intended to do, much in the spirit, to be honest, of what Rare used to do with Nintendo's hardware, just pushing it to the like beyond its limits. And one of the things that he's really been frustrated with is that in order to save the states of certain collectibles like presents and whatnot, you really need and even acorns, because the acorns don't replenish. There's a finite amount of health in Conker's Pocket Tales. He needed to be able to determine whether or not you have picked up every acorn in the game, all these objects. And the easiest way to do that would be with an array. But he has basically constructed this whole weird system where there's an object that rotates, and it physically points at another object, and based on that, it determines the state of a third object. It's this whole complex. He's basically he's written his own programming language to construct arrays within Project Spark using Project Spark capabilities. It's very cool stuff.
Wait. So is that how the pencils are back in the X-Files season 10?
It might be.
They used arrays.
Oh, Jesus. Oh. Hyle, I was fully prepared to yes-end that until that moment. No, but in addition to this really incredible meta programming prowess, he's figured out a way to recreate like almost any Conker's Bad Fur Day character within Project Spark.
Oh, he's doing a great job for that. He's created some like classic characters like Frankie the Pitchfork.
He's got Ron and Reg. He's got Greg. Rodent is in there. He's got all the cogs, the female ones, and Carl and Quentin.
Upon my request, he even created a dialogue box for Ryan Stiles.
Yeah, and he's even figured out how to make sprites work. And he's like programmed in a Ryan Stiles sprite. He's got Acorn People sprites. So basically, if you use Project Spark to its fullest, and you can even use some of these things that I believe he's ultimately going to distribute as like a Conker asset pack, like an unofficial thing, we fully have it within our power to continue the big reunion story. And the cool thing about Project Spark is that even within that game, the Spark is sort of analogous to the programmer in Bad Fur Day. I mean, you can basically create an adventure for Conker that's just as canonical as anything else.
Yeah, basically the way I view it, and this is what I tried to put out there over the week to kind of drown out any negativity, because this is the realization I had is no, Team Dakota is not going to finish the story that they started. And yeah, I wanted to see where they were taking it. I wanted to see who he was actually reunited with. I wanted them to put Acorn People in the game so we could have our little stupid victory lap and feel good about ourselves.
They even have concept art. What's the problem?
But
courtesy Cam Riegel, great artist. Someone hire him, please. He belongs in the games industry.
He's actually Matt Corna too. But so ultimately, what this is the first first episode of Big Reunion, that's Universal Canon. And some people are saying, well, let's just wipe this from canon. It never happened. And I'm like, no, of course it happened. It happened.
Who's saying that? Mario fans?
People, somebody on the DK Vine forum is saying that.
No, we're not doing that. It happened.
So,
because we control the canon.
No. But it's a game that happened. I mean, and the first part of it is universal canon for everybody. But in your own personal canon, you can finish the story however you want.
You with a capital Y.
Yeah, basically, it's the same thing as me's. Like, in your own personal continuity and canon, you are in that version of the game, and it's going to be the same thing, except in your personal canon, the whole game ends the way you want it to. And it's not something we've ever really had before. To prove my 90s kid bona fides, I collected Pogs. I was a Pog collector for a hot minute. in the 90s.
Yep.
And
same here. Yeah.
Yeah,
You were a weird kid if you didn't have Pogs in the 90s.
For like 6 months there, like you had to have Pogs. And I remember they had near the tail end of Pog Mania, they had something called the official Pog milk cap maker. And basically what this was it was a little device you could buy, and you would have blank Pogs with a blank sticky side to them. And you could put in a picture that you drew, or like from a magazine or something you printed off the internet, and you could basically make your own Pog. And so basically, you could add to your own Pog collection. Now, these Pogs would not be canonical with anybody else's.
Canonical.
These would not be official Pogs for anybody else, but because these were officially branded as Pogs by the Pog Company, the Pog Corporation.
Right.
But you could essentially augment your own collection however you wanted it, and everybody would have their own personalized Pog collection. Conker's Big Reunion Episode 2 is essentially the milk cap maker via Project Spark. You can finish the story however you want.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of freedom in that. I also think it's a great opportunity for the DK Vine forum community. Like, you guys, there should be a dedicated thread for Big Reunion Episode 2, and I would like to see them really brainstorm and write something out and program it and make it. I want to see what DK Vine comes up with for the continuation of the story.
No, I don't think DK Vine itself should have, like, this is the way DK Vine views the story.
No. I just think it would be a great collaborative project.
I would like to see several groups come up, see what they come up with, and I think it's great, and
which personal canon is best.
Yeah, and then, when we tell the tale, when we reinstate the timeline, when we tell the tale of the Donkey Kong universe, we'll say 10 years after Bad Fur Day, this happened, and it ended in some way.
Mm-hmm. After peeing on Birdie, Conker was so traumatized that his personality fractured into many pieces.
Sure, if that's the way you want to view it. But so... And basically what this also means is, look, the timing is ironic that this would be announced on the day Rare began Conker Theme Week,
It's Conker Theme Week!
Conker's dead.
Canceled.
Conker's dead again, yeah. But with all the renewed, like, Banjo-Kazooie nostalgia kicked up before Conker nostalgia, but thanks to Rare Replay, people are really into Conker again. Yeah. And I think, honestly, there's a good chance Team Dakota is moving on to something else now. I think they've proven that they at least get the world, and I would like to see what they could do. And if they want to do a full-fledged Conker sequel built from the ground up with a new engine, not just made in a pre-existing asset folder, basically, I would be thrilled to see them make basically a full-fledged Conker sequel. What do you think?
I'm wary of that for the reasons outlined earlier. I mean, it's not going to be like Bad Fur Day.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be like
it was lightning in a bottle.
Okay, but look what happens when you try to recreate a game. Look at Star Fox. They keep trying to recreate Star Fox 64, and it's nobody.
That's a bit more of a literal recreation, though. I mean, if we're talking about a Bad Fur Day, a proper Bad Fur Day sequel on its own engine, beginning to end, a full scope game. You'd really need Chris Seaver to be involved in a big way, and I don't think they'd be able to get that. Certainly, I think it would be plausible that he would do the voice, but
yeah,
he's busy with his own projects.
Okay, but yeah, so he'll do the voice, but I think it's fine that I think Team Dakota proved themselves to me, maybe not to you, but to me, I would be more than comfortable with them doing this. And with Rare's collaboration, of course, they would, I would want the Rare logo on the game somewhere, and their stamp of approval. But it's fine.
It's different to me than Killer Instinct. I think that the Killer Instinct template it's a little less laser focused into this very specific tone than Conker is, and Team Dakota did as good of a job as they possibly could have done. Having to make something that does have a script. They within the confines of Project Spark and the task that was set out.
You really wanted improv then? Like I disagree.
No, I'm not saying I really wanted improv or that one approach is better or worse than the other. I'm just saying that everyone wants it to be like Bad Fur Day, but Bad Fur Day is something that's a type of storytelling that's a little looser than you would ever get in a game made today, unless it was made in the same way.
Well,
that's
without fine.
Chris Seaver being involved, it's not going to be made in the same way.
That's fine though. That's fine. I mean, Conker can grow. It can, it's. I'm not looking for it to hit all the same notes or like emotional beats of Bad Fur Day. I would want something different. Our idea for Conker's sequel would be drastically different and more tightly scripted too. So, I mean, I just want to see Conker back on his feet, and we just spent the whole episode talking about all the Conker variations we never saw because he keeps getting the rug pulled out from underneath him. Now's the time to strike to get Conker as an actual franchise again, and
I'm not saying it's a fool's errand. I think that there are many ways to do it, to do the concept of a Conker sequel justice. I would just caution anyone who would approach it expecting it to be Bad Fur Day 2. It may be a little tonally different than you might expect. Even beyond the fact that it's happening 16 plus years later or whatever, or 14 plus.
But I don't think it's going to be like a nuts and bolts situation where they just graft the Conker imagery on a game that's ultimately very different than what they're expecting. I think it's going to at least be in the style of Bad Fur Day.
I agree.
So, that's, a bullet dodge there.
I agree with your assessment of the style of this entirely hypothetical game.
Yeah. I don't think Rare is going to do a sequel because I think if they are going to revive a franchise anytime soon, it's going to be Banjo-Kazooie. But possibly. I don't know. I think people are setting themselves up for disappointment whenever they talk about maybe Rare's going to do Banjo-Kazooie.
We all know it's Digger T Rock.
Oh yeah. Ooh, maybe Team Dakota could do Digger T Rock. Would you be happy then? Would you be happy then, Chad?
Yeah, I'm sure they could figure something out to do with that with that game.
And ultimately, look,
I certainly couldn't figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, it's that game.
It's a low mark in Rare Replay, but it's definitely as a museum artifact, I'm glad it's there, but I'm not having that much fun playing it.
As something that should be behind glass at all times, it's great.
Digger T Rock, you're so charmingly, I don't want to say bad, but
you're a thing that happened.
Frustrating. Yeah, you're a thing that was done.
Ultimately, though, okay, so that's the way to look at the end of Big Reunion, and I think there's hope for Conker's future where, just a year ago there was no hope, It's fine.
We live in a world where there's a 10th season of the X-Files about to come out.
Nothing ever dies in this day and age, and maybe I'm right, and no characters will ever be retired. We're gonna get a Conker sequel, and they're gonna fill it with so many Acorn people, our nuts will burst. But ultimately, I'm gonna look at Big Reunion as this weird hour-long thing that happens to Conker, and I'm gonna remember it fondly. It just is gonna be this weird bit of obscure trivia like Pocket Tales. Ultimately, that oh yeah, we're gonna be referencing. Oh yeah, remember the time Conker pissed on Birdie? Oh, remember the time he made the Donkey Kong reference? Granted, it's not as great esoteric references as histamine, but I love Big Reunion, and I'm happy it happened. It's it's great. It's great. It's all good. And I'm sorry it's not being continued officially, but we have the whole notion of Project Sparked is you have the tools to finish it. So yeah.
Get off your lazy ass. Go finish it.
Yeah. And as far as Conker goes, I really can't wait to see what next game gets canceled.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Evil Acorn!
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.